Hereafter, which is the new movie by Clint Eastwood, and I was saying about the Iñárritu film, is it's a film which does all the Iñárritu stuff. You know, it does globalization, it does intertwining stories, it does this life and the next life, you know, the here and the hereafter, and it brings all those things together, and it has at the centre of it a character who has one foot in this world and one foot in the next world. And then you Hereafter, okay? It's directed by Clint Eastwood from a script by Peter Morgan. A series of intertwining stories dealing with globalization and the afterlife, and all these stories come together in a strange way, and there is a character at the centre of it who has got one foot in this world and one foot... I mean, it's very odd that these two films have come out in the same week, because although they are completely different films, stylistically, in terms of their, you know, worth and value, they're completely different, and yet there is this bizarre comparison between the two of them. So the stories are essentially, and I should say this, every now and then you see a movie, something happens early on, if you didn't know anything about it, it strikes you. If you don't want to know anything about Hereafter, turn off for the next 5 minutes, because I'm going to give, it's not a plot spoiler, because it's something that happens in the first 10 minutes. But if you want...
How far in does it have to be?
Yeah, I know.
Plot spoiler?
Well, exactly. So there's no way of not doing this, okay? So if you don't want to know anything, turn off, okay? In the first 10 minutes of the film, we're introduced by Cécile de France, who actually has been on this show before, fantastic actress. She wakes up, she's in a hotel room with her partner, she goes out, there's a market, you're not entirely sure where she is, then she hears something terrible coming, and the next minute she and everyone around are hit by a tsunami. And it's an extraordinary sequence, because you have no idea. I had no idea it was coming. It's very well done. Terrific use of special effects in that way in which special effects should be completely part of the drama. It's a really quite breathtaking opening sequence. Then there are, and during that she nearly drowns, and she has a near-death experience, after which she has some strange contact with the afterworld. Meanwhile, there are two other stories back in London, and this is Clint Eastwood London, in which it's all Derek Jacobi, literally, and London buses, and Bobby's Gore Blimey, you know. Oh, all right, my son, then all leave it out. No, bother as it happens, it's, oh, your shout. And meanwhile...
What was that?
That was Arthur Daly, He's All Right, by The Firm.
Yeah, with completely different lyrics.
No, that's how it goes.
Try it again.
All right, my son, Nangham, all leave it out. No bother as it happens. It's your shout straight up, pull the other in a right, 2 and 8. No bother, what's the damage, John? Who's your mate? The geezer in a bunny with a trilby hat. Looks like a jip buddy, ain't all that, thank you. Now. I think Danny Dyer did a cover of it.
How do you know all the words?
Because he was the guitarist in the Rubettes, and I'm a Rubettes completist. Seriously, you asked, that's the answer. Can I move on?
Rubettes
completist. Yep.
Words never put together before.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
What else is in that collection?
Okay. Well, everything. You know, where it's at, we can do it. The Rubettes. Sometimes you don't want to get into it. We all have our dark corners. That's mine. Okay.
Yes, that's a
very dark corner indeed. Okay, so a story of in the London section of the story, you have a young boy who's trying to get in touch with his brother, who he's recently lost. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, Matt Damon is a man who is touched with the ability to connect with it. He's Fey, you know, Fey in the proper sense of the word. He's Fey, in which he has one foot in the spirit world. But it's a power.
Is that what Fey means?
Yeah, he's a medium.
It meant kind of like dandy Englishman, singer-songwriter, 1970s Nick Drake kind of.
Yeah, no,
Fey.
he's not Fey like that at all. He's Fey in as much as he is touched. He is a medium. He has the powers of a medium, but he doesn't want to use them, because what he has discovered is that they have prevented him from leading a real life. Here is a clip.
George Lonergan?
Yeah.
I hate to bother you. I'm Mr. Andrews' neighbor. The Greek guy, mid-50s, who lost his wife. I believe you recently did a reading for him.
All right, I'm just going to stop you.
Candace.
Okay, Candace, I don't do readings anymore.
You did one last week
Yeah,
for Mr. Andrews.
I know. Well, he's an associate of my brother's. It was a one-time thing. I don't...
Please, I give you my word. I won't tell him anymore.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Listen. I brought money.
I don't want your
Everything
money.
I have.
I don't...
I lost my child. My only child. Just a baby. I just want to talk to her. Please, I want to talk to my baby.
I can't help you. I don't do that. I don't do it anymore. Please.
Lonergan. I got money. Mr. Lonergan. Please.
Now, I think that Matt Damon in this film is really good. Matt Damon's an interesting actor, because, you know, for a while there was the whole joke about him, you know, from Team America, Matt Damon, that he didn't have a huge range. But in fact, he is a very, very accomplished actor. We saw him doing terrific action stuff in Green Zone. He was very good in the Bourne movies. He also seems to have a good choice of projects. And I thought, as somebody struggling with psychic power that he does not want to have, he did a very convincing job. There's something very down-to-earth, very ordinary, very world-weary about the way in which he plays it. And in fact, the best scene in the film consists of Matt Damon attempting to have a normal relationship with a young woman who he doesn't want to tell that he has psychic powers, and as the minute that he tells her that he does, he says, but please don't ask me to do what I know you're going to ask me to do, because he can't live in this world and the next at the same time. And the scene is beautifully played and very, very Clint Eastwood in its direction, because one of the things that Clint Eastwood does is he directs in what's referred to sometimes, and oddly enough never meant disparagingly, in a workmanlike fashion. It's directed, there's no fussiness, there's no showing off. Everything is very, very done, very incidental, very matter-of-factly, and it's a really terrific scene and very painful. Really looks like somebody struggling with a side of their personality that they don't want. So that is when the film is at its best. Sadly, the way the narrative works is that there are these three intertwining strands that have to be brought together, and they're brought together through increasingly absurd contrivance, ending up at the Ali Pali book fair and Derek Jacobi cameoing as Derek Jacobi, and the whole thing tipping wildly over into M. Night Shyamalan territory. And so there's a tension between, on the one hand, the way in which Clint Eastwood directs the film, which is that he directs with that unfussy, workaday, really, really sort of efficient style, and yet the script is contrived and, I have to say, increasingly ludicrous. And the problem is, therefore, that in the end, the film doesn't work because the two things pull in different directions. That said, that having accepted that it is an absurdity, and some people who are Clint Eastwood fans, I think, will be completely bewildered by what Clint Eastwood is doing with this story, there are things in it that actually I thought were very well done. And when you put it next to the Iñárritu, Beautiful, which is receiving very fine notices, and people say, oh, okay, there's certain flaws, but it's serious and important, whereas the Clint Eastwood is being taken much less seriously. So you put the two of them together, I'm not entirely sure that the great Iñárritu has done a fantastically better job with wrestling with this material than Hereafter, in the same way that the Iñárritu disappointed me much more than it seems to have disappointed some other people. Hereafter had things in it that impressed me much more than they seem to have impressed other people. And in a way, my favourite scene in either of those two movies is the scene with Matt Damon saying, please don't ask me to do the thing which I know you're going to ask me to do, because once you do, we can't go back from there. And that little moment in itself, that incidental, unfussy, uncluttered moment, in a frankly absurd screenplay that really does feature Derek Jacobi as Derek Jacobi in London, ching ching, here comes a bus, call blimey governor. It is still the best moment in either of the two films.